SNESdrunk. One of the most challenging things about having a channel project thing that lasts over 10 years is the risk of repetition, especially when it comes to talking about certain genres of games. In this case, it's combat flight simulations. The Super Nintendo, for some reason, somehow, someway, has a ton of these games, and I've already covered a bunch over the years, like Carrier Aces, Turn and Burn No Fly Zone, Lock On, and Air Cavalry, and there's plenty more I haven't covered yet, like Super Strike Eagle, released in March of 1993, and made by MicroProse. Yes, the same publisher and developer of the Civilization and XCOM series. And just like the other three combat sims I mentioned earlier, this game was made only for the Super Nintendo, which is a weird and surprising trend. Now, it's not surprising that a company like MicroProse would branch out with some home console exclusive games. Ultimately, they're doing the same thing that someone like Konami or Capcom or Sunsoft or Taito would do. Those companies dip their toe in everything, like platformers, run-and-guns, shoot-em-ups, role-playing games. It's just kind of weird to me that so many home computer game devs like Synergistic Software and MicroProse would be like, yeah, we're going all in on flight combat sims. But I'm willing to make a guess that those folks saw the Mode 7 capabilities of the Super Nintendo and figured that they could make something work with that. And in the case of Super Strike Eagle, they did. It helps that you're flying as a modern fighter jet, well, modern for 1993, so there's no attempt at historical realism here, and there's no wonky helicopter physics. You're just flying a jet, carrying out missions, and blowing stuff up across 9 missions with a password system to help you out. So, you press start, you get your first mission briefing, which is as follows: blow up the targets. Alright then. The map shows what to bomb and what not to bomb, and suddenly you're on an aircraft carrier. Hold the X button to take off, and you're in the air shooting bad guys. Simple as that. It's the A button to fire your machine gun, B to shoot a missile, and you hold select while pressing B to flip to different kinds of missiles. Some missions also require you to release a chaff by pressing L, or to fire flares by pressing R. You pretty much just keep flying forward until you get over the island you were just shown a map of earlier, and your viewpoint will switch to this perspective. The viewpoint flips one more time once you get near your target, and yeah, not the greatest visuals here. Looks like I'm flying over a giant bowl of frosted mini-wheats. This viewpoint at least controls well, and it reminds me of the helicopter bonus level in Pilot Wings, where you're just firing at stuff on the ground while they fire back at you. What I like about this game is that, unlike some of its peers, you're not just staring at the same thing the entire time. You're taking off, you're fighting in the air, you're bombing stuff, and yes, you have to land too, which on paper always sounds like a horrendous idea in a video game, but here it's actually pretty forgiving and mostly simple. Again, the controls are decent enough here, so there's not much trouble when it comes to lining things up. It's just a matter of decreasing your speed at the right time. Super Strike Eagle still has its share of problems, however, and while I appreciate how ambitious this game is and how it switches between a bunch of different viewpoints, it can also be very easy to get very discombobulated. It's a nice idea to automatically switch game modes on you, but sometimes you'll be cruising along biding your time until suddenly you're seemingly 90 feet from the ground getting shot at by everyone. Granted, this game mode is more forgiving than it looks, and the plane's shadow really helps you to prevent crashing. But yeah, at times it can be hard to get a grip on what the heck you're actually doing. Well, at least the game over screen gave me a good chuckle. Your career as an F-15 pilot is over. Well, I would certainly think so, considering I'm dead. One other thing I have to comment is on the music, or the lack thereof. There's like 3 songs in this entire game. And while I kind of get why that is, because this is a very serious buttoned-up military game, it would have been really nice to have a few extra jams in there, like put on the Axelay soundtrack or something instead. I also have to mention that there's an extra bonus level that's easily unlocked with a password, so if you really like this game, there's an extra mission that gives you over 30 targets to destroy. Just a wee bit on the difficult side. So yeah, Super Strike Eagle deserves some credit for being a combat flight sim that actually gives you a bit of gameplay variety while still keeping the controls forgiving. It's not always pretty, it may look like you're flying over a giant pot of jambalaya at times, and it's real easy to get confused as to where you actually are and where enemy fire is coming from. And yeah, I'm probably still going to recommend pure air-to-air combat games like Lock On over this, or Afterburner for the Sega Genesis. but I still like and appreciate Super Strike Eagle's approach, and if nothing else, it's fun to play these Mode 7-driven games like this any way you can via the SNES emulator, so you can get that extra screen real estate. But yeah, whichever way you play this one, you're not likely to be disappointed. It's certainly not a great game, but it's definitely not a bad one, and it's a welcome change compared to the usual combat flight sim fare on home consoles. And that's all for now. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.